3, 2, 1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Unsolicited Lifting Advice. My name is Sam.
My name is Manas.
And we thank you for joining us again this week. We really do appreciate some of the feedback we've been getting. We know some of y'all have reached out and said that we've been entertaining, we've been helpful, we've been just fun. So we appreciate everyone who's said things. And even if you haven't, your listens and your watches and your thumbs up are wonderful, really mean a lot to us. And not good for our egos in any way, shape, or form.
We had one of our listeners talk about, yeah, man, like I'm getting back into heavy deadlifts in part because of this. And I'm like, Jesus. So, I mean, tell you, that was like, 4 days ago? I haven't stopped thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's very bizarre. But we thank you for that. And we will continue to, do what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start, and we talked about this when this happened, but I wanted to start by being honest. Just kind of updating with the process. You know, we've been 2 months into kind of this semi-cut kind of, whatever it is, kind of
7 weeks.
Yeah, diet macro tracking kind of stuff. And I wanted to recount an event kind of in full detail, and hopefully, and that will kind of lead the conversation, and then hopefully can give y'all some hope.
It's a good setup for a case study.
Yeah.
And why make fun of other people when we can make fun of ourselves?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, we wouldn't do anything that we haven't ourselves done. I don't know what I was saying. Here's what happened. So, stepped on the scale. This would have been Thursday, and it was 317, which for me was like, oh man, like that's basically back to where I started back in January. So I was a little bummed out, and I knew that. That's just a number, and, I'd had a couple extra carbs the day before, some saltier stuff.
Yeah.
So I knew it was going to be hanging on to some water weight. And so I knew these things in my head, but, seeing that it for me, it was a little discouraging in the moment, and I had to kind of go through a process of, okay, no, this isn't the end all be all, this isn't the holy grail of blah, blah, blah. But, it was still it kind of bummed me out that morning, until I was at work, and I work outside, I was putting on my jackets, layering up, because that's what you got to do when it's cold on these streets. And the jackets were not as snug around the midsection as they had been. And I was like, oh, that's right. Like, that number is just mass related to the gravity of the planet you're standing on. That's not the only way to determine, if your progress is going well. And so that was I wanted to share that with y'all because that was a moment where I could have, and in the past I have fallen back into, okay, I guess this isn't working, or do I got to cut some stuff out? Like, I think I'm doing this right. I think I'm counting. I think I'm tracking. I think I'm, being consistent, but I might not be seeing the results. And so that can kind of go two ways and I think where we'll kind of go is like, what are the results that you're looking for? Is that metric the appropriate metric you should be using to track? And if not, identifying a either better singular or more realistically a better collection of metrics that can better inform you on if you are making progress. And if you're being consistent, like I can very reasonably say that I've been pretty consistent with
He's underselling himself again, but yeah, he's been doing it.
Being consistent with the diet and the working out and just the mindset stuff, again, having tried and failed many times, finally kind of learning some of those my personal traps and mistakes, and getting to a point where, again, in this moment, I was able to go, okay, that scale said a number I didn't like, but the clothes are fitting better. Oh, okay, cool. So we're still
so net positive.
Exactly, yeah. And then like the next day, I dropped 3 pounds because I was holding the water.
Yeah.
It wasn't,
you're not gonna undo the changes that you've been making in the last month, 2 months, in a week without making substantial changes.
Yeah.
So like when you're still eating basically the same thing and you're working out essentially the same way, and the scale just creeps up a little bit. Okay, well that. You didn't put 10 pounds on in a week in a caloric deficit. I can tell you that right now. That's just not how it works.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've definitely had the same. In my case, last year, I used to kind of let just that number get into my head a lot. Whereas, I mean, even now, I'm not going to say, yeah, like I'm completely emotionally unattached. I mean, just last week we were talking about how I had it the other way around, where I'm like, okay, like I'm getting too light right now. I don't like this. And then, okay, we had that same exact conversation in reverse of, okay, well, what's important to you? What do you want to change? Is the number? Because then we can change the number. Or, hey, well, you're stronger. You're like looking better, feeling better, sleeping better, getting in and out of the gym. Like, if everything else is good, maybe just stop stressing about that.
Yes.
Numbers don't lie. It's a very valuable tool. It's not the only valuable tool.
Yeah, and I don't have the guy's name right in front of me, and we're recording on my phone, so I can't look it up right now, but I will tag him when we start posting stuff. And I've seen his content before on YouTube. I apologize, I cannot think of his name right now. I'll make sure we get that up. But he had a video up where he was saying, and I sent this to you, that he prefers people setting more objective-based goals, meaning increasing like your bench, deadlift, squat number, dropping your mile time, and then just kind of other. I won't call them quality of life, but like how well can you walk a mile? Like how out of breath are you when you walk a mile? Like these more objective measurements. Not that weight isn't objective, but it's a very different kind of objective because, like I said, weight can fluctuate regarding how much water you've had, how much sleep you've gotten, what kind of food you've been eating. Are you going to be holding in more water because of your sodium content, that kind of stuff. So that can move up and down. And even the most stringent diet followers in the professional fitness world, they'll shift 2 to 3 pounds during the week with the exact. I mean, and these are people who might be prepping for shows or it is their job to be below a certain body fat percentage, and they'll move, a couple pounds here or there in the day. So to expect the filthy casuals like ourselves to not move a little bit during the week is preposterous.
Dude, I gained 5 pounds from last morning to this morning.
Yeah.
I didn't actually gain 5 pounds. I just, okay, that's what it says.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah. I had a lot of salt at the end of the night. Probably just water.
Yeah. Just hang on. And that's the weird. It doesn't seem like you hang on to water. It's so baffling how much water weight you can genuinely hold.
Yeah.
Without even, because I don't feel like I'm sloshing around any more than normal. But yeah, no, your body's like, oh, that stuff that we're 70% of and keeps us running. Let's keep some of that hanging around if we can.
I did pull up the guy.
Yeah.
Because thank you, Jamie. I'm gonna mispronounce it, and we will tag him.
Yeah.
But Sayat Fitness, so it's 2 T's. Yeah, it's a good video. Essentially, when you brought it up and sent that to me, that was like my immediate thing where I'm like, yes, like every single thing that he's talking about there. It's first off, it's literally what we're talking about right now too. But for example, you mentioned and he mentioned the setting more goals than just a weight.
Yeah.
And especially for the type of people that are listening to this, okay, like let's set, hey, I want to be able to bench this much, squat this much, deadlift this much. And we're going through those sorts of metrics. So that doesn't mean that all of a sudden the weight means nothing. It still is important. It still is a valuable tool.
Yeah.
But it just allows you to have more data points, and to be factoring in more, to have like more gauges of progress. So, okay, like for example, this past week, I basically just hung on to my weight exact. Okay, do I think my diet's not working? No, I think it's just not showing yet.
Yeah.
Hooray, water weight.
Yeah.
But like now, if we go another month, and my weight's still holding stable, and I think I'm in a caloric deficit.
Yeah.
Well, I hate to break it to me, but I'm not really in a caloric deficit. Like, okay, at that point, that's a lot. When it's a week, okay, just keep an eye on it, keep doing it, and we also talked about this week. I'm like starting to get like, I'm starting to not feel like I'm cutting anymore in the gym. Like, okay, like just lifts are feeling easier. The weight's getting easier to move around. I'm like having strength gains. So I'm like, okay, like all of this is a success. Because one, I think I'm still losing weight.
Yeah.
It's just not showing yet. And two, if at the end of the day I didn't drop weight and I got stronger, then that gets me closer to where I want to be for the end of the year anyway. So
Yeah.
who cares?
Yeah.
You're still better than you were a month ago. That's all that matters.
And that's kind of the time frame you really need to be measuring, is month by month.
Yeah.
Especially if it is if you're trying to do body recomposition or losing fat, putting on muscle, however that looks for you. Yeah, the weeks are going to be, you'll kind of be up and down. And so for me, if I'm trying to drop weight, and for the audio listeners, you're not going to see this wonderful hand graph I'm about to make. But if I'm trying to drop weight, it's going to look like a down, up, down, little, almost like a heartbeat kind of. But as long as the
trend is the way you
the
want
velocity, to use my physics background, shout out Mrs. Reed. If as long as the overall, but again, you're going to have to look at the months.
Yeah.
Because the weeks, like I said, I think I started last week at 310 and I finished at 317. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense.
I don't think you put on a pound a day.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing. It's like believing data, let's call that. So in my mind, I put on a pound a day. But if I was trying to put on muscle, there's no way I'd believe that I put on a pound. Like, no, there's no way that's happening.
Shockingly difficult to do. And like the numbers don't lie; they're just not telling you what you think they're telling you.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're not saying the scale's made up. We're saying that there's a hell of a lot more going on there.
Yeah.
That like if we wanted to go into that, that's hours of conversation for all of the things that will affect your weight on a day.
On a scale, on a $20 scale, I got to target.
Yeah. And like this is stuff we all know. Think about the stuff that like boxers will do to make weight for a class.
Yeah.
Sit
in saunas.
Yeah, we're gonna go
trash
sit in a
bags
sauna.
on.
And just flush all of the water out.
Yeah.
Make weight by a third of a pound, and then put 10 pounds.
Put it all back on. That is one of the, and obviously neither of us compete in mixed martial arts, but I'm a fan. I think you're a fan as well. That is one of the most dangerous things about the sport, and this is spoken by the experts, Rogan, Schaub, all the commentators. Like and the people who've done it will go, the weight cutting is one of the worst parts of it, because guys are flushing 10 pounds of water out of their system in a matter of 2 to 3 days, sometimes less than that, just to make the weight. Because you can dry yourself out. And then you put it, again, 10 to 15 pounds higher than whatever they made weight for the fight.
That's inevitable for that sport. Of course that happens. And the only way it wouldn't happen is if now you put in weigh-ins. Okay, now we're going to take your weight 2 months beforehand, but then that removes the point of
the solution to that is, again, from the people who know what they're talking about, is you just institute more weight classes. That'd be the way to do it. You have a weight class every 5 or 10, every 10 pounds, so to speak, as opposed to the big. But that's neither here nor there.
Now we're getting real off topic.
But just I just kind of wanted to start with that. Just from personal, want to be honest with y'all. Again, had a little mini freak out looking at the scale. Had to bring myself back, and then was proven my consistency by the jacket fit. Again, layered jackets not being as tight. I'm like, wait a minute. No, this consistency thing actually is paying off. It's just not showing in this one of many metrics that we can use to judge our progress.
Phenomenal.
Thank you, sir.
Have you thought about talking about this?
Maybe. I was recording.
Something like that. No, that's very well said, because again, if this was something where now a month in we're still not seeing that showing up on the scale, then that's probably when we sit down and be like, okay, let's
reevaluate.
A week's enough that we've at least noticed it. A day, I'm like, that's not even a trend. Go away. A week, fine, I guess this gets my attention, but it's not really a problem. And you've been moving weight well all week, and
that's the other thing. The strength's going up too, so stuff's getting to move. So it's okay, something's happening. And then just the reality that muscle is denser, heavier than fat. So you'll denser.
Pet peeve.
Totally fine. So you might not notice it on the scale, but yes, if your strength's increasing, or if you're more cardio focused, if your mile time or whatever your goal time is, if that's dropping, something positive's happening,
Yeah.
and that's kind of more important. Like for sure, weight.
Like the absolute worst case scenario here is that you did actually put on some muscle mass
Mhm.
while you were trying to drop fat.
Yeah.
That's the worst case scenario,
Yeah.
which is a pretty like take it and run.
Yeah.
So
I'll take that worst case.
yeah, no, there's just it's that where I think also like the longer you keep doing it, the less you start getting attached
Yes.
to those numbers.
Yeah.
But also, the more that you consciously think about and try to catch yourself on getting emotionally attached to things that don't matter, gets you on a very dark road very quickly.
Very quickly.
And just the more you think about that, the better you always are just going to inevitably end up being at catching it, not letting it fester and get to that point.
Yeah. And not that dropping weight isn't a good goal, because that's for sure something that, again, I definitely need to drop weight, but understanding the time frame that it takes to do it healthily and sustain it. That's again, I was talking to you. This is 8 weeks into a diet, and I'm not tired of it.
Yeah.
Like that's the first this time. It's normally 8 weeks. I'm getting really like.
Which
Do I gotta go to whatever again, and I gotta go to the store and all this stuff.
You talked about that on episode 3. You talked about that 8 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, hey, this is around when I think I'm gonna have to end up changing stuff.
Yeah.
And now we're sitting here like, okay, well, you don't.
Yeah.
If you're not tired of it and it's still working and still getting you where you want to go, then you're fine.
Yeah, and that's that. There's another progress goal of is what I'm doing sustainable enough that I can stick to it.
Yes.
And right now, yeah. So it's not going to fall into that. All right, well, let's just take a week off to recalibrate, and then that week turns into 6 weeks, which turns into 6 months, and then all of a sudden we're back to kind of where we started.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another
the relapse
good.
statistics are terrifying.
Yeah.
But that's all the more reason to focus on sustainability from the start. Especially like we talk about this all the time. Just general bodybuilding culture should not be general nutritional culture.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
like if you're trying to drop weight, looking at how a bodybuilder does it may work well for you. It also really may not.
Yeah.
Especially since like this is a person like just definitionally. I mean, you think about cutting and bulking cycles. It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
That's never its goal. It's never what the point was.
Mm-hmm.
You're cutting to a point where this is unhealthy, and the more we find out, the more we're kind of seeing. Yeah, the quicker you can bounce out of it, the better.
Yeah.
So like, okay, like after stage, not even like slowly, I'm gonna add another 100 calories a week until I like get back up there.
Yeah.
No, it's just jump back up.
Yeah.
It's your body will thank you.
Yeah.
And you'll thank yourself your next season when you do better.
Exactly. Yeah. Like long term sustainability is huge in that sport. But obviously, again, we're talking to just people who just want to feel better, look better. Yeah. Whatever it takes for you to stick to it. We're gonna hound this point, by the way. I already know that we say this almost every episode, but it needs to be said constantly. It's like sustainability is the most important thing. Whatever you're doing, whatever your goal is, it needs to be something you can do for a sustainable amount of time. And if you do have specific goals, i.e. run a marathon in under 4 hours, have a 1,600 total powerlifting under, whatever, 185, whatever your goals are, like that's a specific time frame where you'll be trying to achieve those goals.
Yeah.
But whatever the general stuff around that is has to be something you can do for, in theory, the rest of your life. The goal is you want to be working out.
You want to be doing this
until you're in the
forever.
grave.
And that needs to have more of a forefront. That needs to have more of a. You're in this for life.
Yeah.
So
enjoy it.
Doing
something you like.
If you're losing weight, for example, if I went low carb, I would drop weight. I would drop so much weight.
Yeah.
I know I've done it. I then would immediately put it all back on.
Yeah.
Because I love carbs.
Yeah.
And so that's not a diet that would work
Exactly.
for me.
Yeah.
Because when I'm cutting out entire food groups
Yeah.
that I enjoy, it's not something I'm going to be able to keep doing forever.
Yes. Yeah.
That may work better for someone. If it fits your macros. I absolutely adore.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about also 8 weeks ago. We talked about, hey, like, I'm gonna try to do the next 8 weeks without counting and without you know that lasted 2 weeks.
Yeah.
A week and a half, because I'm like, okay, no, it's because when I went back and looked at it, I'm like, okay, now I'm eating. First off, I'm under eating in a deficit, which like I'm gonna call a problem because now it's gonna impact. If in my mind I'm eating 2,300 calories and I'm actually eating 16, yeah, I'm gonna lose more weight, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
That's we've got strength goals we're working on right now. It's gonna make an impact there. And when I know, like, intuitive eating works very well for me as a weight maintenance tool.
Yeah.
Whenever I tried to adjust it to cater to weight loss, I overdo it because I end up thinking about, hey, well, even professionals will always underestimate their calories, and now I'm thinking about that as I'm doing every single thing, and now I'm compensating way too much.
Yeah.
So like this works really well for me.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be other people where if you tell them, hey, so you're going to start counting the macronutrients in every single thing you eat, that's terrifying.
That's going to turn them off 100% from anything
and that's
goal-oriented fitness. Yeah.
And that's okay, because like it's just another tool.
Yes.
It's another means to an end, so you've got to find the one that works for you.
Yep.
In the end, every diet works. If you're in a caloric deficit, it works.
Yes. Yeah. The formula. I mean, there is that kind of famous-ish experiment. This scientist ate like Doritos and Oreos for a month and dropped like 30 pounds. Because like the fundamentals really are calories expended has to be greater than calories taken in, and you're gonna lose weight. Now, your blood work might look terrible if you just eat Oreos and Doritos and drop weight, but
and that's where, for example, something like if it fits your macros, okay, well, just because it fit your macros, micronutrients are important, guys.
Yeah, get in your leafy greens. It's
eat your spinach.
It's or whatever your green vegetable
or your
is.
it doesn't have to be spinach, but
spinach is a good one. You can grind it. Spinach is really good for if you do enjoy like protein shakes, like smoothies. I've done that before. Just because it blends up really well. You get a little bit of the taste in it. And again, I don't mind the taste of, just regular leafy spinach. So that was an easy way to get that done.
Yeah.
But again, whatever works for you. Again, reading through the ACE stuff and the steps to begin with people is a lot of the times like, hey, let's just go through what a healthier eating pattern looks like.
Yes.
And obviously we've been kind of neck deep in fitness stuff for years because this is something that genuinely interests us.
Yeah.
But most people, we can sometimes overestimate, the amount that people know about these things. Again, because it's something we enjoy so well and we like just talking about so much. So we spend hours listening and watching.
We also, that kind of stuff. I mean, like we were in there, the like old bodybuilding.com forums.
Oh yeah.
like so okay. Yeah,
back when it was free.
Back when you can just log on and like here's every program I'll need for the rest of my life.
Exactly. Yeah.
So like you spend that much time around, you just stop thinking about some things, but that's not gonna work for everyone, and it never was going to work for anyone. That's not a bad thing. It doesn't make anyone a better or a worse person.
Cut out
3
sodas a week in a month, you'll drop 5 pounds. So, I mean, so like literally just something as simple as that. But again, people might not really be making those kind of connections because they have jobs, they have things, they have other interests that so it's just not something that's on their radar. And then when they're being introduced to working out or fitness, whatever the reason is, I mean, little things like that can make huge. I mean, I've switched almost entirely to seltzer waters, and now I like them. Like it just took time So, now I enjoy them. And now I get something that I can trick myself into thinking I'm not drinking water, but I am still just drinking water.
That reminds me of so I do not like water. I say as I'm chugging this
The
entire
giant
thing.
things of water.
So what? Now I like just basically got acclimated to it. Like it stopped bothering me, but the lack of taste used to bother me.
Yeah.
Which is why I would always drink sodas and juices,
Yeah.
and that would make up the staple of my liquid diet. And when I was getting myself into water, wow, that feels weird to say. When I was learning to like this thing that is essential for my survival,
70% of your body's made of it.
I would just take a little bit of lemon juice and then just put it in there. Like
Yeah.
I would start off just like making lemonade.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is still better than the Coke I was drinking.
Yeah.
And then I just slowly started removing the sugar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, now it's just water and a bit of lemon juice. And then I cut out the lemon juice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I like water now.
Yeah.
I think. I'm gonna drink some right now.
So but think like last week we were talking with Jamie how she was, showed the pull-up progress where week one, like to start off with it's, just doing hangs, just like kind of not dead hangs, but just isometric holds. So you're just hanging at the top of the position, then you move to negatives. So you either get a band or you can get on the assisted pull-up machine. You just start up top, you just jump up kind of thing, and you let yourself down slow. Next week you're doing that with band, and then you just slowly move. That's the exact same thing.
It's the same. It's the same exact guiding principles.
Yes.
It's just applied a little differently.
Yeah. So again,
but like so just like Jamie and her pull-ups. Just like me and my water.
Yeah.
You can do the same thing, and honestly, I would argue you should do the same thing across whatever larger changes you're trying to make. Like we talked about this in the discussion that created the podcast, where I was like, so many people try to do. Okay, think about like 75 hard, or there's one that ends with 30 that someone was talking to us about this week. And the point is, there's all these types of challenges, and a lot of them. First off, a lot of them work for a lot of people. I'm not saying that these challenges should never exist.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, like the only time in my life that I've been able to take off and keep off the weight is when I decided that, okay, no, I want to get on stage. So in my case, having like an overkill sort of ambition, sorry guys, having a overkill sort of ambition is the only one that gave me enough motivation to do that and keep it going. So something like that, I've never done 75 hard, but I could see how that works for some people. Of okay, no, here's the finish date. We're just doing this and going as hard as we can. Yeah. However, when you come in something like that, and you're like, okay, I'm changing my workout habits and my diet habits and my sleeping habits, and my alcoholism. I'm changing almost every part of my day-to-day routine overnight. That is a lot to ask from yourself. Yeah. And so, if you tried something like that and it didn't work for you, that's fine. It doesn't make you any better or any worse.
Not a reflection of your character.
Not at all. And in that case, okay, the lesson that we draw from that is, hey, like, this particular method of overkill didn't do the trick. Another one might. Yep. Or we could just not do overkill. We could just, hey, like, this next month, all I'm going to focus on is just getting back into the gym. I can eat whatever I want, I can drink whatever I want, like, not changing anything there. I'm just going to get back into the gym. And first off, that's already a big net positive. Yeah. But then once it's 66 days to make a habit?
Let's say it.
And so once that's something that you don't think about anymore, okay, now I'm going to, like, I'm just going to look at my liquid diet. So, okay, like, I can still eat whatever solid foods I want, but let's go in and just start cutting out the sodas. Start cutting out large amounts of processed sugars.
Cranking the beer back.
Yeah. We say as we drank whiskey. But okay, so still net positive. And now you're not putting large demands on yourself. You're just going through and just taking, okay, like, one little step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Because stole this one from my roommate. Shout out Brady. Baby steps are still steps.
Yep.
And so, it's how you eat a whale. It's just one bite at a time.
Yeah.
Just stop thinking about everything you've got to do. And if that works for you, if that's your motivation, 100%. But if it's not, then just, okay. I don't have to, like, in my case right now, I don't have to get on stage yet.
Yeah.
Thank God. Okay, well, I mean, let's see, since I started, dropped like 35 pounds, 17 in the last 2 months, which I don't believe.
Yeah.
But we talked about why I don't believe that number, because that's what the scale says,
Yeah.
and referred earlier.
Yeah.
I have not lost 17 pounds of fat this year. But okay, so 35 down. I'm not sitting here thinking about, I need to do this, and then I need to put this much back on, and then you do this again, and then I was like, no. Right now, all I got to do is finish recording a podcast,
Yeah.
go to bed on time, wake up, and go to the gym tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's it. And the rest will take care of itself. Just,
Yeah.
just one bite at a time.
Yeah.
Like, final thing, 'cause I've been ranting for a bit. There's a lot of truth in the joke. Like, when my caption on my personal Instagram from the marathon thing, 26.2 miles of just making it to the next stop sign.
Yeah.
The fact that I ran that's still terrifying to me.
Yeah.
And the fact that I want to go back and do it,
Yeah.
like in Hawaii now for real, all in one go,
Yeah.
that's mind-boggling. So I'm not thinking about it. Right now I don't even have to get back to running yet. Right now I'm just finishing this, and then we're going to start that. I don't have to run a marathon. I just have to make it to that next stop sign.
Yeah.
Do that a couple more times, and then we're done.
I know for buds, the thing is make it to the next meal, because they have to feed you like every 4 hours or something, or there's like every 4 hours
Yeah, I don't know
you
what
need a break.
I don't know what the time slot is,
yeah.
but yeah.
So they're just like, yeah, you just got to make it to that, and then you get your break, and then get back in it, and then you make it to the next one. Yeah, you don't start in. And the military is a great example, because all their training programs are insane, and it's, like basics, like 6 months, and then the more you go, just kind of same thing, just adds the time and the intensity. And yeah, they never going, all right, graduation's in 151 days, start counting. It's like, no, you're going to make it through this exercise, then you're going to make it through the next exercise, and then the next one, and then you just eventually, you're done.
Dude, that's where I got it from.
Yeah.
This wasn't an original thought. I'm not that creative.
Make it to the next stop sign.
Yeah. There's DH Xavier, which is not a mononym. It's not his real name. It's a
Pseudonym?
There we go. Words are hard. This is why we lift things.
I don't have to spell 225.
Don't even have to count it. This is why we keep the reps when your fingers.
Exactly.
If you're doing more reps than you have fingers,
Something's wrong.
But no, all jokes aside, there's so you wrote a book called God, what is it? Breaking Buds. I want to say something with two B's. The point is just, hey, like, if you want to go do that, read this.
Yeah.
And the reason why I really like that book, also shout out Iron for bringing that book into my life. It's got its second section has a mental thing where it's, hey, let's just talk about all the mental attitudes you're going to need if you're going to make it to the finish line.
Yeah.
I think that chapter should be required reading for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not just that sort of an attitude isn't just like a great way to, like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, he's right, you should do that and go through Buds. Man, do I look like I went to Buds? What I will say is reading that and, trying to apply those mental principles absolutely has changed the way that I handle bigger challenges in my life.
Yeah.
Grad school's a hell of a lot less intimidating now.
Exactly.
Weight loss is less intimidating. Strength gain is less intimidating because, I don't have to go pull 500 pounds right now. Just have to go through this training block. At the end of it, I'll be able to be a little bit closer than I was before.
Yeah.
And then we'll do that again.
Yeah. Whether it's him or Goggins or Jocko, Cam Haines, like Tim Kennedy, like all these people who are known for doing normal people would say is impossible. You know,
Yeah.
running a marathon a day. Someone said that's impossible. Cam Mann goes, hold my lunch. I'm going to
Mhm.
go run this marathon every single day. Goggins runs the Moab 250. Jock goes
Yeah.
up at 4:30 every morning training. And then they have like whole other things they do.
Yeah.
But yeah, them just bringing that mentality of like you start where you start. David Goggins started as the self-described overweight, fat,
His pictures are
lazy.
incredible.
It's insane the transformation he did, and he changed it. Now he is a mental resolve that is made of platinum and steel. Like it's
Yes.
unbelievable. But he will admit it took time. It took steps here, steps here. Cameron Haynes started not being able to run a mile in a row, and now again he runs a marathon a day. So it's like, and they'll admit to you, it is you just do the first thing. So you run that first mile, cool.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll get to a point where you can run 2 miles, and then you just and that running's is a good easy example because it's
Running's an
distance,
easy analogy,
and
but,
everyone walks in some form
on
of
a
fashion.
on a personal note, any listeners that know us personally will know that I like to work out early, and I like to work out obscenely early. When I say that like crowded gyms annoy me, I mean like non-empty gyms annoy me. And so I wake up at 5:15 as an unemployed grad student who has nothing, like it's not like I have to wake up at this time to then go to work.
Yeah.
No, I'm just gonna wake up at this time because otherwise there's gonna be people in the gym and that's gonna annoy me. That's just how it is. Every single day, every single one of them, I wake up and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I wake up, it's still dark outside. I'm cold. All I want to do is go like grab a sweater, turn my heater on, go back to bed. Because again, it's not like I have to work out then.
Yeah.
I can go back to bed. The gym's still gonna be there.
Mm-hmm.
But the hardest part's just walking out of the house. From there, everything else comes together.
Yep.
And then doing something like that. I'm not saying you have to go wake up at 5:15. That's absolutely not.
Yeah.
But whatever your first step is, you do that, and now you're setting yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
Like Admiral McRaven always talks about, always make your bed at the start of the day.
Yep. Jordan Peterson
Because-
says the same thing.
Because okay, now you started your day accomplishing something.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried that. That never worked for me personally.
Yeah.
However, that same exact sort of thing is why when I go to the gym, I'm like I already made myself do something that made me uncomfortable. I already had to get out of my comfort zone this morning. And so everything else is easier. Like okay, I went to bed, I woke up and then start squatting, like over double my body weight for just reps.
Mm-hmm.
And now all I've got to do is finish citing a paper.
Mm-hmm.
That's let's go.
Yeah.
No problem. And so whatever your first step is, don't think about the finish line, just take that step and the rest falls together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the more sustainable thing. That's the healthier thing mentally.
It's how you stay in this.
Yeah, and again, this is a lifelong thing, and if it should be a lifelong thing for everyone.
Yes.
So whatever it is, it should be something you enjoy doing. So yeah, if you don't want to wake up at 5:15 in the morning, and that's not going to be sustainable for you, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Like if you like going to the gym when it's crowded in the afternoon and you can socialize a little bit with people, or you like going to classes, and those are guys more often in the afternoon, like do that.
Do that.
Like, do whatever works for you.
Yes.
And then same back to the diet stuff earlier. Like if you can't, if you don't like, Nasty even said he doesn't like cooking more than like 2-3 days of his stuff in advance.
Yes.
Cool. Like that, I don't mind doing a whole week, but that's me. And
Yeah.
his way works for him, and that's sustainable for him.
Yeah.
So if you can, whatever your sustainability practice is, find out what yours is. And yeah, it's something you have to try stuff. Like I've tried Tupperware, everything 100% in Tupperware, and it just takes up all the space in the fridge. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Bags. Food bags. Bags of protein, and then carbs, bowls of rice that I just got to throw in the microwave,
Yeah.
and then frozen veggies. Like that's that I have found it, I have gotten my thing locked in, and that's working for me.
Yeah.
But if that doesn't work for you, like I said, you're right now able to cook everything day,
Oh, I cook
the
it.
moments you're wanting to eat it.
Yes, I like. This is why I still don't feel like I'm dieting at all, because I'm like, oh, like every single craving is satisfied
Yeah.
immediately, thanks to the power of if it fits your macros. Jokes aside, just micronutrients, kids, they matter. I'm pretty sure I refer to a lot of people older than me as kids, but they still matter.
Green things and vitamins and fruits and green things.
But yeah, in my case, having that sort of like rigid meal plan
Mm-hmm.
absolutely never worked. I'd
Yeah.
stick with it for a month and a half, and then I'd put all the weight back on, and then honestly probably a little bit more too.
Been there myself.
and so okay, like it took years of experimenting for me to find this works for me.
Yeah.
Yes. Similarly with one of the turning points that worked for me, I'm doing a master's in science. I like the numbers. I like the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
And so as I started finding out more of the details of exactly how all this works, then I started getting excited about it. And now I'm like, no, now I really want to do it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that, like, if someone comes up to me and says, oh, I want to lose weight, I need to start explaining to them how many calories are in each gram of each macronutrient.
Yeah.
That's not relevant to them.
Yeah.
If that's what they want to do, sure. But that's sure as hell not required for success.
Yep.
And there's plenty of ways, like, everyone, Dr. Lane Norton was talking about this, where it's like, okay, like, everyone makes fun of, like, Weight Watchers and Jenny Craig and all of those systems.
Mm-hmm.
But one, those people are still doing it. There's still a net
Yeah.
positive happening. And two, those people are still more likely to succeed than people that have no plan at all.
Yes.
Because it's giving you some sort of structure.
Yeah.
And if that works for you, phenomenal. And if not, the lesson that you draw shouldn't be like, I didn't pick up the hammer, I'm not worthy, I can't do this. It's, hey, this particular approach didn't work for me at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, let's dissect it. Why didn't this work? What can I change? How can I make this better suited to me so that I'm able to do the things I like and still get to where I want to go?
Yeah.
It's just, we're in it for life. You can't cut out entire things and expect to keep going forever.
No, yeah, and that's again some of the things I think will be constant trends on this podcast will be the culture of professional starvation, aka bodybuilding,
Yes.
and general health are two very different things and should be treated as such.
Yes.
And then finding, like, this is a lifelong thing, of finding what's sustainable for you and what works best for you. So yeah, try different things, like, and then also define your goals too, because like if you're doing Weight Watchers but you're trying to increase your deadlift, okay, maybe there's a better metric for achieving those goals, and adjusting what you're looking at, as opposed to my friend did this and got better, so I'm gonna do this. Okay, for sure you can take that data, but
Yes.
Understanding that again, maybe the scale isn't really what you should be focusing on at this time. Maybe you should just be focusing on getting to the gym 3 times a week.
Yeah, just if eventually, like, if you're looking at weight loss, eventually the scale is gonna have to be looked at, and I don't think either of us would ever argue that it's that it's just not important at all. But we're saying it's not the single, like, only important thing.
Again, especially not the $20 bathroom scale you got at Target or Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you can get to a DEXA, which is I don't know what it exactly stands for. Like
Diloptometry.
It's a pod. You get in a pod, and then they use science magic to figure out how much your bones weigh.
So, also, DEXA scans are what, like, a couple $100
It's
to
a
use,
little pricey.
So also, if you can afford to pay a couple $100 to get your weight taken every single day.
Yeah.
Then honestly at that point just go hire an RD.
Chef. Oh yeah. Hire a chef and an RD.
Yeah, and problem solved, kid. They'll take care of all of it for you. I'm really just calling everyone kids today.
It's fine.
But yeah, for the rest of us,
Yeah, that $20 bathroom scale is a tool in a
Yes.
very large toolkit that should be used for what that tool is designed for.
the scale that I have this morning tried to tell me I was 11.5% body fat. I am not. And that's fine. It also, when I started, was telling me like, hey, you're like 20, and I'm like, try a 3, kid.
Let's bump those numbers up.
And so, I mean, regardless of whatever my like actual numbers are, because I can definitely pinpoint that, because that's it.
Yeah.
That's possible.
That's
without
an eyeball.
autopsy.
Yeah, that's an eyeball.
Regardless of what it is, hey, like, it's still a consistent metric, and it's still a useful tool, but not the only useful tool.
Yeah.
Just like one of the things I think gets people wrapped up a lot at the beginning was when they're trying to like figure out, hey, like, how, like, what's my maintenance calories? How much should I be eating? How do I know? It's like, well, you don't. You get a very educated guess, and then you check.
Yeah.
And if you hold weight, great, we found your maintenance. And if not, well, 1, we can keep adjusting and try to figure it out, or 2, we can do a little bit of math and figure it out.
Yeah.
But regardless, you guess and check, and also regardless, let's say I eat a piece of chocolate every single day. Like I said, I used to last year to like get myself back into like Pavloving myself into the gym. And so if I'm doing that and I don't track that piece of chocolate, but I eat it every single day, it's still consistent. And so, okay, now my tracker's off. But as long as it's really just that, well, it's off by the same amount every single day, which means the numbers still end up evening out.
Yeah.
Okay, like, now my target in my head might be, okay, I'm eating 2,300, and really I'm eating 2,350 because I'm eating this piece of chocolate. That's fine. If I'm not losing weight, I've got to reduce that regardless. And at some point, that involves this. And also, I'm acknowledging that I'm not tracking it.
Yeah.
So, like, so I think people start getting too wrapped up into, like, the numbers and, like, making it optimal and, like, what's the single best thing for me to do. Like we were saying last week, 8 weeks to total weight loss, 7 weeks to bench in your house. It was funny. I had to bring it back. And that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And just, like, the best thing you can do is just find something that works for you and stick with it.
Yep.
And if that means trying new things because this didn't work for you, sure. But, like, the nuance don't then get program hoppy and just start jumping around everywhere because you're always trying to find, the shiniest object in the room, the best thing you can have. Just, okay, no, this works for me. I like it. Cool. I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah.
I'll get there. I could have gone there 4 weeks faster. I don't care.
You still got there.
You see me getting on a stage yet?
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
Yeah.
And now I was able to, like, enjoy time and not want to kill myself that entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy exaggeration. Also, still just the mental aspect of all of it's still important. So if this is sustainable and this works for you and it takes you 2 weeks longer, 3 weeks longer, you're going to thank yourself for taking that road.
Yeah.
And it's coming from a guy that's taken the shorter road a lot of times and failed for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not sure I've got much else of value to add on this now.
No, that's fine. No, I like it. Like it a lot.
All right.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to our ramblings on this cold and rainy Sunday afternoon. We do appreciate your support, your listenings. As always, episodes go out on Wednesdays. The audio one's going to continue to go out at midnight. We like that. We might move the video one
to sometime in like the afternoon.
Yeah, it turns out publishing YouTube videos at midnight doesn't benefit too much. So we're gonna.
Yeah, we did.
I'm gonna move that to a little more reasonable time, maybe a 10 to a noon Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
But the audio podcast will continue to go out at midnight.
At midnight.
So you can listen to it on your ride to work or your morning gym session. Again, everything is at ULA Podcast. Again, please keep letting us know if you enjoy our stuff. Again, it
really makes our day.
It means a lot. Obviously, we do genuinely just enjoy doing this, but we like that you enjoy it too.
Mm-hmm.
We do appreciate all constructive criticism and even the unconstructive kind, because you know what? We're here to have conversations with y'all. So
someone's got to knock us down a peg. So.
Yeah, no, our egos are getting a little bit too big. Not going to lie. But thank you again for listening to this episode of Unsolicited Lifting Advice. We will see y'all in the next one. Again, everything at ULA Podcast. We appreciate y'all. See you in the blah, 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 blah. Bye, guys.
Bye.